Good evening and welcome to the second edition of Bearcat Sports Chat live from Buffalo Wild Wings in Bristol. Is everything working good? Can you hear me back there? Good deal. We have a good crowd here tonight. This is Dylan Hutton with Mark Harr as we get set for another week of Bearcat football. We also have the golf team, members from the golf team here to discuss their season so far and what's ahead for them. Mark's making his first appearance with us. He wasn't here last week, so we're going to let Mark introduce himself to you all. Mark's been the color commentator for the first two games, and we're going to turn him loose to introduce himself. So go ahead, Mark.
Well, my name is Mark Harr. I currently go to East Tennessee State University. I'm a major in marketing communications. Graduate next year. I attended Sullivan Central High School, graduated in 2015. But I'm very excited to be a part of the Bearcat cast. It's been very exciting for me to be able to get to experience a little bit of Southwest Virginia football action this year.
Yeah, Mark from the Tennessee side, so he's still getting used to the good side of things here on the Old Dominion side of it. Tonight on Bearcat Sports Chat, we'll talk to Virginia High football offensive line coach Andrew Belcher, senior lineman Daniel Vencer, golf coach Carlos Lee, and golfer Gavin Austin. We'll also discuss last week's hard-fought loss in that 101st VT game and get ready for the Bearcats' first ever meeting with Wise Central. Again, we're going to talk with Virginia High School golf after that one. Let's go ahead and get it going. Tennessee High, 34-20 loss last week, was trailing 17-10 at the half. It was a great football game. Just didn't go our way. Got down by a touchdown and couldn't get back into things. Tennessee High just had a little bit too much for us there in the end. Cortland Carter was able to get loose a few times, and it was really the difference in the game as they went ahead and got the win 34-20. Some of the stats from that one. First downs, Virginia High 18, 395 total yards. They actually outgained Tennessee High in the yardage department. Rushing, they ran 43 times for 262 yards, so that's good no matter the final score. Passing, they threw for 133 yards and really turned it on late in the game. Jamie Lathrop able to roll out in the pocket several times. They went 11 for 21 with 2 interceptions, had 80 penalties, though, and that is going to be hard. 80 penalty yards, that is, 7 penalties for 80 yards, and that really set you back. But all in all, it was a good, hard-fought football game against a good opponent in Tennessee High.
Yeah, and people really overlook this game every year to the simple fact we're still a 2A school playing a 5A school, and for us to hold our own like that, it's really big, really big. The team was very disciplined on the offensive and defensive line. Really excited to be able to talk to Andrew Belcher tonight about that. Really excited about the opportunities coming up later on this season. We got a very good football team. Jamie Lathrop's playing very well. Reminds me a little bit of a Dak Prescott kind of quarterback, able to throw it a little bit, but he loves to get out of the pocket and run.
You've been all about these Texas quarterbacks, regardless of NFL or not. We've heard the Johnny Manziel. Now you're moving over to Dak.
You were the Johnny Manziel reference. I like to keep it in the Dak side of things.
But yeah, it was a good football game, and it's always a fun game. The stadium's always packed, and we're excited to get back over to the Castle next year, that's for sure, and try to get a win against them, as that's 6 straight for the Vikings. We got to break that streak next year. It's a time to move on, get to Wise Central. Some other stats, though, from that game. Jamie Lathrop, 93 rushing yards, 133 passing yards. Aaron Rose, who we had on the show last week, 14 carries, 97 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He scored the 2 touchdowns for the team, one of them from 50 yards out.
He is an absolute truck, and you got to be really excited about him coming back next year for us as well.
Yeah, he had a great game, and, of course, we enjoyed talking to him. Let's do some takeaways here. We saw a Bearcat offensive and defensive line stay in control of Tennessee High virtually all game long. The only plays Tennessee High could really get anything on was on the extended plays. Cortland Carter able to roll out of the pocket, make some plays downfield, or take off. You have to be excited about the rest of the season for this team.
Oh, yeah. We have so many playmakers all the way across the board. The wide receiver core is always able to go up and make a play. Your quarterback's also able to make a play. Just the whole offensive side of the ball is just a really strong group for us. We're going to be a real big powerhouse in the Southwest Virginia this year and many years to come. The defensive side of the ball, they're strong in that linebacker position, able to take out Aaron Rose and put in some other linebacker core there. It's really just going to be able to make a big difference for us this year, I think, Dylan.
Yeah, the depth's really the difference in this year's team, I think, from the last few seasons. And I really think if we're going to talk about a time that game last week really turned on its head, you have to go to the end of the second quarter, going into halftime. That late score, 3rd and 15, had a chance to get Tennessee High off the field, and they were able to break a tackle on a little slant route and take it into the end zone, and that really was a tough pill to swallow after holding with them there.
And, thinking about it, that wasn't even Cortland Carter that made that play. That was Tan Overbay and just just a great eye by him and a great playmaking ability to get that done. There's nothing really we could have done on that one, Dylan.
Yeah, both quarterbacks, they used them interchangeably, and it really worked out for them. Usually you hear a lot about that two-quarterback system not working, but Tennessee High used it last week, and it worked out. And Mark, last question here from the game last week. What can Virginia High and Coach Chris take away from the game last week?
I think going away from it, you have to be excited. You have to be I know you're supposed to hang your head after a loss, but don't hang it for very long. You played very well against a very tough football team, and you're going against some teams that won't have that ability coming up in the next few weeks. You have to be very confident in this team. And I think Coach Chris just has to preach that a little stronger.
We'll see how they bounce back this week, and it's time to go to the opponent scouting report. Wise Central, the Warriors are 2-1. They went 3-7 last season. We hope you tune into the game. We'll go live from Norton, Virginia at 6:30 p.m. for the Bearcat kickoff show. That's at Spreaker.com/Bearcat Radio. You can also create an account on Spreaker on the app.
Follow there.
And you'll be able to follow us there on Bearcat Radio. So that's always a good thing. I think you get notified if you do follow us. And it'll be the first trip to Norton for Virginia High to face off with the Wise Central Warriors. 61 miles. I'm sure Dr. Perrigan knows that trip pretty well over to Norton. About an hour and 10 minutes. They'll head up 81 and then hit 58 and head over the mountain there to take on the Warriors. Wise Central, a little background on them. They were formed in 2011. They're a consolidation of J.J. Kelly and Pound High Schools. Going in depth of their season so far, they started off with a big win over Eastside, 48-28 in Week 1. Week 2, they defeated Grundy 21-14. They're coming off a loss, though. They lost to Ridgeview in a surprising fashion, 35-12 last week. So Ridgeview was able to put a hurting on them. And it was really a stunning loss because this is a really potent offensive team with their running back and their quarterback really being at the helm. And, of course, the coach over there, Luke Owens, the offensive lineman at Virginia Tech in the early 2000s, he had a little quote there after the game, said that the team played with no emotion. So we'll see if this Wise Central team will play with a little more emotion this week. It's a spread offense that likes to put wide receivers in motion, and they're primarily a run-based offense. And I know Mark's watched a lot of film on those guys, and they got a lot of weapons around the ball.
Oh, yeah, and people don't really realize how big of an impact that a running back makes for them. Losing a running back of his magnitude is huge. But him coming back this year, he's been able to make a lot of big plays for them. And but Virginia High's defensive line and Dante Harris and our linebacking core, they're able to stay disciplined to be able to make some big plays.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we'll talk about later is the offensive line with Coach Belcher. And they like to, whenever they do pass it, we noticed whenever we were looking at the film just a little bit there, they like to roll out to the right. It seems like every play they're rolling out.
We're not giving a lot of heads up or anything.
We're scouting them. Yeah, we're giving a good scouting report here. Thanks to Coach Chris for giving us the huddle information. We were able to really break it down, going into the game. So we're ready for them, too. Mark could go play probably Friday night.
You don't want to line me up. I'm a little out of shape.
And we'll talk to Coach Belcher about this. Defensively, for them, they really only play 2 true down linemen, and that really causes some issues. You don't know where pressure is going to come from. They'll put linemen standing up on the ball, and you don't know if they're coming or going to back off.
And, the last few lines we've played, they've had a lot of strength and a lot of size to them, but this is a different defensive line. They're built more around the speed aspect of the ball. Like you said, with a 2 down defensive lineman, you expect it either from the corner position or the linebacking position either way. Even the safeties can come over the top and make a play for them. It's just be aware of what's going on in your surroundings.
When you compare these two defenses, really there's a lot of similarities. Both are very speedy on defense. They rely on that and the athleticism that they have on that side of the ball. They're led by a senior quarterback and a senior running back, Dalton Mullins under center, and Jarrett Jesse. Again, he had a tore ligament in his knee last season, missed the majority of the year. So he's coming back strong this year. Dalton Mullins led Wise Central last week. He had 100 yards rushing on 21 carries, and he had 103 yards passing in that loss to Ridgeview. And let's hit Mark with a couple quick hitters for this week. For the third straight week, we've got Virginia High against a dual-threat quarterback in Dalton Mullins. How do they continue that past success?
And I think it's something I've already hit on tonight and that I've hit on the previous weeks is our linebacking position just has to be disciplined, and the defensive line has to be able to break through and be able to make a big play there for them. If they're able to force a quick decision, the linebackers are able to get back there and make a big play. So
you've watched about as much film as I have on this team. What sticks out to you about the Warriors?
The pistol formation just seems to be a big thing for them. Or the two backs set in the backfield being able to read read that's kind of big for us as well. It's just being able, like I said, just being able to stay disciplined for us, and we'll be able to make some big plays this week, Dylan.
Yeah, a lot of motion in that, and it really tests the eyes. You know how you can't be looking for the big play. You got to be playing your assignment. It's going to be assignment football all the way around on Friday afternoon. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with Bearcat offensive line coach Andrew Belcher. I had that Aaron on there because we had Aaron Rose last week. I still had Aaron, his first name. And we're going to take you to some highlights from last week's game against the Vikings as we go into break. We'll be right back on Bearcat Sports Chat. Two wide receivers to the right. That wing back to the right side now as Lathrop takes the snap from the shotgun. Here's the handoff inside. Rose is through. Touchdown there. Virginia High takes the lead 6-0, and the crowd comes alive.
Davey Lathrop is absolutely amped right now. That's exactly what he needed to get the game going. Look at him just patrolling down the sidelines, throwing his hands up, getting everybody hyped into the game tonight.
It's going to be Carroll lining up from the middle of the field. A 33-yard attempt to try to tie the game. 3:33 to go. A 33-yarder is up. And it is good right down the middle.
Absolutely drilled it there.
To tie it up at Tennessee.
He didn't want him to take the kick.
The soccer player. Alex Atkins to the left of the quarterback. There's the snap. Lathrop has plenty of time. He's going to roll out and go to the left. He gets a good block there, and he goes down the sideline and out of bounds. First down, and a pivotal block on the outside there by Dawson Garrett, the big old boy, coming back in the backfield. Here's the handoff. This is Rose. He's got the first, slips by the tackle.
He's gone.
30 to the 25 to the 30.
Nobody's going to catch him on that one.
And he's in.
Get him more,
Touchdown.
4 points, baby.
Aaron Rose has cut it to a one-possession game. 16 points now for the Bearcats. He breaks loose from the 50-yard line, and we were able to talk to him during the Bearcat Sports Chat. He said he loved to run the ball behind this offensive line, and right there, why would you not?
Bearcat fans, following every Virginia High School home football game, visit Shoney's at Exit 5 for the world-famous breakfast bar. Serving until midnight, Shoney's is a proud sponsor of Bearcat Athletics. Listen to Virginia High School football on your computer or mobile device at Spreaker.com/Bearcat Radio. You're listening to Virginia High football on Bearcat Radio on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to Bearcat Sports Chat. We're happy to be joined by offensive line coach Andrew Belcher. Thank you for joining us, Coach.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Coach, this position group is one of the most experienced on the team, and if not the entire Southwest District. What's the difference in this year's offensive line compared to last year or even the year before that?
This year's group, there's some similarities. We only replaced 2 starters off last year's group. We have a new center and a new left tackle. Both of them had some snaps last year, so they're not entirely new to the position. Travis Williams has stepped in at center. It's his first year, moving to that position. And then Dawson Garrett has stepped in at left tackle, and we used him some last year when we went some unbalanced line. So, very experienced group. Last year's offensive line coach did a really good job with this group. I just kind of stepped right in where he left off, and, they work incredibly hard. It's a fun group to coach.
You were talking about last year's offensive line coach, but you've been around this program quite a bit. You're a graduate of Virginia High School and really been around there since '06 with the football program. So that's got to be a real fun thing to be back at your alma mater all these years and being able to coach.
Yeah, it's exciting. I graduated from Virginia High in 2001, played for Coach Locke in the wing T. So, a little different blocking scheme now that I'm trying to teach our guys. So that's a little different. But, yeah, I'm born and raised in this area. My wife and I went to high school together, so we have kids in the system now. And, it's just neat to be a part of it as a player and now as a coach.
That wing T, that's a down and dirty offensive line formation. You're cup blocking and doing everything. So definitely a big difference in this spread offense now.
Yeah, it's definitely a different style for sure.
So my question is, this group hasn't been penalized very much. Me and Dylan were going back and watching some film, all that. What factors attribute to the discipline?